In a small town in the Midwest, where the air smelled of freshly cut grass and the streets were lined with maple trees that turned gold every fall, there lived a boy named Arlo Reyes. He wasn't like the other kids at Maplewood High School. While most students filled their days with loud chatter, sports practices, and parties, Arlo preferred silence. He carried himself quietly, his head often bowed as if he were carrying something heavy on his shoulders. But it wasn't sadness or shyness. It was focus. Arlo had always been different from the moment he could walk. As a toddler, while other children chased butterflies and laughed under the sun, Arlo would sit for hours watching birds fly across the sky. By the time he was 5, he developed an obsession with movement, how fast things could go, how high they could soar. It started with toy cars racing down ramps made of cardboard boxes, but soon enough, it evolved into something far greater. At 12 years old, Arlo discovered track and field during a school event day. The coach, Mr. Granger, noticed him standing near the edge of the track, eyes wide as he watched older students sprint past. "You look like you want to run," Mr. Granger said, his voice gruff but kind. And just like that, Arlo found his purpose. By 16, Arlo was one of the fastest runners in the state. Yet no one at Maplewood knew about his achievements because Arlo didn't talk much about them. To his classmates, he was still the quiet kid who kept to himself, someone easy to overlook, or worse, tease. The first week of senior year began with the usual buzz of excitement and nervous energy. New schedules, fresh notebooks, and the promise of another year ahead filled the hallways. For Arlo, however, it felt like walking through a maze he couldn't escape. Every step echoed too loudly, every glance burned brighter than sunlight. On Monday morning, Arlo walked into homeroom, clutching his backpack tightly against his chest. His sneakers squeaked softly on the tiled floor as he took his seat near the back corner of the room. A group of boys sat nearby, their laughter bouncing off the walls. They called themselves the Crew, a bunch of jocks who ruled the school with their popularity and arrogance. "Hey, Arlo," one of them said, leaning forward with a smirk. His name was Trent Caldwell, captain of the football team and king of the cafeteria food fights. "What's up, Speedy Gonzalez?" The others snickered. Arlo glanced up briefly before returning his gaze to the desk. Nothing. Trent leaned closer, lowering his voice so only those around him could hear. "I heard you're some kind of runner, huh? Maybe you can teach me how to jog without getting winded after 10 seconds. More laughter erupted. Arlo clenched his fists under the table, knuckles turning white. He wanted to say something, to defend himself, but words failed him. Instead, he stared straight ahead, pretending not to notice. After class, Trent and his friends followed Arlo out into the hallway. "Hey, Slowpoke," Trent shouted. "How about we have a little race? Loser buys lunch." Arlo stopped in his tracks, turning slowly to face them. "I don't do races for fun," he replied, his tone steady despite the storm brewing inside him. Trent raised an eyebrow. "Oh, so you're scared? Thought so." He turned to his buddies, laughing again. "Guess our little turtle prefers hiding in his shell." As the bell rang, signaling the start of second period, Arlo hurried away, leaving the Crew behind. But their taunts lingered in his mind, replaying over and over like a broken record. Speedy Gonzalez. Little turtle. Each insult stung more than the last, chipping away at whatever confidence he managed to build outside of school. That evening, Arlo trained harder than ever. Under the dim glow of the streetlights, he circled the local park's running trail, pushing himself beyond exhaustion. Sweat dripped down his forehead, and his legs screamed in protest, but he refused to stop. With each stride, he imagined outrunning Trent and his mocking smile. When he finally collapsed onto the cool grass, gasping for breath, his phone buzzed in his pocket. It was a message from Coach Granger. "Big news, Arlo. You've been selected for nationals next month. Keep training hard. We're counting on you." Arlo read the text twice, then a third time, just to make sure he hadn't misread it. Nationals? Him? Against the best athletes in the country? It seemed impossible, yet here it was, a chance to prove everyone wrong. But proving people wrong wasn't what excited Arlo most. What thrilled him was the opportunity to push himself further, to see how far he could go. Running wasn't just a hobby. It was his passion, his escape, his reason for waking up every day. And now he had a chance to show the world what he was capable of. Over the next few weeks, Arlo threw himself into training with renewed determination. He woke up early, ran late into the night, and studied videos of top athletes to refine his technique. His body ached constantly, but he welcomed the pain as proof of progress. One afternoon, while stretching after practice, Coach Granger approached him. "Arlo, I know you keep your accomplishments private, but maybe it's time to let people know what you're capable of." "Confidence isn't bragging, it's believing in yourself." Arlo nodded, though he wasn't sure he agreed. Still, the idea stuck with him. Maybe it was time to share his story, not to boast, but to inspire others who might feel invisible, overlooked, or underestimated. A month later, the day of the national championship arrived. Maplewood buzzed with anticipation, though not necessarily for Arlo. Most students barely remembered his name until Coach Granger announced it during morning assembly. "Students," Coach Granger began, his deep voice cutting through the noise. "Today, one of our very own will compete in the national championships. Arlo Reyes has worked tirelessly to earn this spot, and I hope you'll all support him." The gym fell silent for a moment, then erupted in whispers. Arlo stood frozen in place, unsure whether to feel proud or embarrassed. Trent and his friends exchanged glances, clearly surprised. "Wait, Arlo," Trent muttered. "That guy runs nationally?" Later that afternoon, Arlo boarded a bus bound for Chicago, where the competition would take place. As the miles passed, his nerves grew louder. What if he disappointed everyone? What if he froze up under pressure? Doubts swirled in his mind, threatening to derail his focus. When he stepped onto the track the following day, surrounded by competitors who looked just as determined as he felt, Arlo reminded himself why he ran. It wasn't for trophies or recognition. It was for the rush of freedom, the thrill of pushing limits, the knowledge that he was capable of greatness. The starting gun fired, and Arlo surged forward, his muscles burning with effort. Step by step, he gained ground, overtaking rival after rival. In the final stretch, he poured everything he had into his sprint, crossing the finish line mere inches ahead of the second-place runner. He won. The crowd erupted in cheers, and reporters swarmed him, asking questions about his journey, his training, and his plans for the future. Arlo answered humbly, crediting his coaches, family, and even his hometown for helping him succeed. But when asked about his motivation, he paused, choosing his words carefully. "I run because it makes me feel alive," he said, "and because I want to show people that sometimes the quiet ones have the loudest voices." Back at Maplewood, news of Arlo's victory spread quickly. Students who once teased him now sought him out for autographs and advice. Even Trent seemed genuinely impressed, approaching Arlo during lunch to congratulate him. "Wow, man," Trent said, shaking his head. "I had no idea. You really are amazing." Arlo smiled faintly. "Thanks, Trent. Just remember, there's more to people than meets the eye." Life changed dramatically for Arlo after the championship. Offers poured in from colleges across the country, scholarships waiting for him to accept. Reporters invited him to speak at events, and fans sent letters praising his dedication and humility. For the first time, Arlo felt seen, not just as a runner, but as a person. But fame came with its challenges. Some criticized him for staying humble instead of celebrating his success. Others accused him of hiding his talents to gain sympathy. Through it all, Arlo remained grounded, focusing on the values that brought him this far. Then came the call that altered everything. One evening, as Arlo scrolled through social media, a video caught his attention. It showed Trent and his friends vandalizing a local community center, spray painting graffiti and breaking windows. The caption read, "Caught red-handed." Arlo stared at the screen, heart pounding. Trent, the same boy who had mocked him endlessly, now faced serious consequences for his actions. The thought of Trent being expelled or arrested weighed heavily on Arlo's conscience. The next day, Arlo visited Trent at home. The football star sat slumped on his couch, head in hands, looking defeated. "They're going to kick me out of school," Trent admitted, voice trembling. "My whole life is falling apart." Arlo hesitated, unsure what to say. Part of him wanted to walk away, letting Trent suffer the consequences of his choices. But another part, the part shaped by years of perseverance and empathy, urged him to act. "Listen," Arlo said firmly. "You messed up and you need to own that, but you also deserve a second chance if you're willing to work for it." Trent looked up, surprise flickering in his eyes. You'd help me? Arlo nodded. Yeah, because everyone deserves a shot to turn things around. Over the following weeks, Arlo helped Trent clean up the mess he'd created. Together, they organized a community service project, recruiting other students to repaint the damaged walls and restore the center. Slowly but surely, Trent began earning back trust, not just from the community, but from himself. By graduation day, both Arlo and Trent had transformed. Arlo stood tall, ready to embrace whatever lay ahead, while Trent walked beside him, grateful for the opportunity to rebuild his life. In his valedictorian speech, Arlo shared a quote that had guided him through tough times. Success isn't given, it's earned, and true strength lies not in winning, but in lifting others up along the way. As the crowd applauded, Arlo glanced at Trent, who gave him a thumbs up. For the first time, Arlo realized that his journey wasn't just about running faster or achieving more. It was about making a difference, one step at a time. And as the sun set over Maplewood, casting long shadows across the fields, Arlo knew one thing for certain. The race was never truly over. There would always be new challenges, new goals, and new ways to grow. But as long as he stayed true to himself, he could handle anything life threw his way. That's the story, friends. I hope you enjoyed it. It was a pleasure sharing it with you all. Don't forget to comment below and let me know where you're watching from. It's always fun to see the global reach of these stories. And if you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button for more amazing stories, tips, and tricks. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. If you'd like to show some extra love, tap the 3 dots near the share button and send a super thanks.